that is the conclusion to the Pueblo Revolt. And it's very much a formative period of time in the history of this country.
And
Again, oh, go ahead.
I'm looking at the book, the recommended reading on the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and
Yes.
they got some books here like Archaeologists of the Pueblo Revolt, Identity, Meaning, and Renewal in the Pueblo World, Pope, Leader of the First American Revolution, Pueblo Indian Religion, Volume 2. Just some of the titles. Pueblo Revolt, Surviving Columbus, the story of the Pueblo people. Um, very cool stuff, man.
I'm going to follow them on Twitter. They have Twitter,
Yeah.
actually. It's just like at Indian Pueblo.
I want some of these books too. So I'm gonna probably buy some of these books as well.
Yeah. I want one thing, like, I love reading about Native history. It's just that I can understand how problematic it can be when it's being done from, like, the kind of, like, white perspective. Does that make sense? Because that's
Oh
apparently
yeah.
because you might remember this. So I actually still have your copy of Empire of the Summer Moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for all of you of those of you who don't know, Empire of the Summer Moon is a history book about the Comanche people, right? And I did enjoy reading it. There's some legit criticisms about it, right? So it is kind of it does heavily uh, stick with the perspective of like settlers, right? It doesn't actually offer anything from the Comanche side of things. So as I was reading it, there's these historical accounts of these Comanche raids on these settlements and how they're killing and enslaving all these people, and it's that's obviously bad. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, this is feeling a bit one-sided, and I actually decided to look into the book, and it actually is there's actually a criticism largely from like native reviewers uh, that this is very it's an interesting but flawed book
Mm-hmm.
because
Why?
mostly because I mean the history is well researched, right? uh, and it does take into the account the brutality and the racism, corruption and the imperialism and all that, and it does that very well. But some people felt this is actually one review. I'm reading it on Reddit here because the most objective source of information is fucking Reddit. I will link it to you just so you can have this. But I'm using this to kind of illustrate how problematic it can be to have like this one-sided framework of telling native history, especially if you're not on that side of the history, if that makes sense, or your frame of reference is not the native perspective.
Mm. Yeah, I'm reading it now too. I think another problem, a problem that relates to what you said is how we do history, historiography. Because
Right.
for us, we have that European we have that European view that history, we write down history, going all the way back to Herodotus. But the history of Native Americans and, well, I say indigenous people in the United States of America, or sorry, American Indians is different. Like, for example, if you go in West Africa, griots, they
Yeah.
have a different historiography than us here. We're influenced over here by the European view of history. So historiography, I think, is a huge plays a huge role in that.
Right. I
Um, oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. My phone went off and I got fucking sidetracked. I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, historiography is one of the things that we love to harp on about Ministry Modus, especially given the example of Empire of the Summer Moon, the author, he's actually a journalist. He's not a historian.
Well, he can still do history.
You can still, yes, absolutely. It does not exclude you from doing history, but the problem is that journalism gives you different skill sets and frameworks to work from than an actual historian. So I feel like that can be problematic too. And like I said, it's not like you have to be a full-on scholar to do good history. Not saying that. I'm just saying it can cause some problems with your historiography if that is your background.
Yeah. And speaking of all of that too, I'm gonna buy this book from the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, the Pueblo Revolt. So the book on their website is actually the Robert Silverberg book. So that's cool that it's got their seal of approval. So that tells me I need to buy that book.
Oh, is it on the book club section?
Yes.
We should definitely post about this on Twitter too.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
They have
link this webpage? Or
yeah, they have a lot of books.
Because I don't want to go through Amazon anymore.
Fuck Amazon, yeah. But they have like a lot of books actually on the subject. Archaeologies of the Pueblo Revolt.
Yeah.
Crucible of the Pueblos. Pope, leader of the First American Revolution. Pueblo Indian Religion, Volume 2. Pueblo Volume 1 as well.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to support the Pueblo Cultural Center. So,
hell yeah.
Why give the Amazon?
Don't give Bezos your bucks. Give it to the IPCC.
I like the title, like I said before, Surviving Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, shoot.
This is a documentary too, so it's CD or DVDs rather, I guess.
Sweet. There's also recipes.
Sure.
They also have a recipe.
I bet they were.
There's one called the Pope tribute recipe.
I wonder what meat they ate down in New Mexico, Arizona.
Yeah. So you can make a Pope bisque. There's a recipe for Pope bisque. Interesting. Cool shit. We're definitely going to shut these out on Twitter. Presentations, book club, statues.
It looks vegetarian too, which is me. I'm a vegetarian, so hold on.
Hell yeah. Not seeing...
So ripe squash, garnished with seeds, leaves, and flowers to symbolize next generation's flowers to seeds to new plants.
And for you, this is vegan, by the way, folks. It's all vegan.
Oh, nice.
So, special shout out to Chef Ray of Indian Pueblo Kitchen.
Yeah, I like his last name too, Naranjo.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that mean orange in Spanish? Naranjo?
No.
Oh.
No.
There was this girl with that last name, and she was hot. No, never mind. Sorry.
It's like, yo, I only remember this last name because there was this girl who she was fucking hot, man. I forget the word for orange in Spanish. Oh, no, wait. It's naranja.
Naranja, not naranjo.
Naranja. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, naranja.
Oh, apparently you can... I guess you can also say el naranjo, too, for like a tree. An orange tree.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway. But yeah, that concludes the history of the Pueblo Revolt, baby. Damn. We got... My favorite thing about this whole series is that we actually got connected to this, like an actual source, an indigenous perspective through, Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. And
also, yeah, we use that also as a way to talk about historiography, man, and how, man, we really need more indigenous sources of history.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, how would we write it down? But that seems to miss the point though of oral cultures.
Yeah. I mean, like, when you mentioned the griots in West Africa, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a form of oral history. You know,
Yeah.
a, a
Those are
griot.
they're musicians. Those are those musicians. They're
Yeah.
musicians as well. It sort of goes back to Homer with ancient Greece. You know, he was a musician. He was a poet.
Yeah.
The Iliad and Odyssey weren't meant to be written down. They were meant to be, spoken, sung.
Isn't that like the history of like most poetry that was actually
Yeah,
communicated through song and storytelling?
yeah. I mean, especially ancient poetry. Yeah, because most people were illiterate. I mean, that's why forms like dactylic hexameter, Greek and Latin,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff exists. That's why iambic pentameter exists. So, wow.
Damn. Well, this is the last Ministry Modus of the year.
Yep.
We started this in April, right? I think it was in April we started doing this.
The end of April, correct.
The end of April. And we've had like a small but consistent audience since then. We always have some listeners. And it's still very motivating to kind of keep going knowing that. Just even aside from like the learning. Because I mean, in some occasions, in some episodes, we have a script and we know what we're talking about for the most part because we've had plenty of time to research beforehand. And in other times, we get busy in real life because we have lives. We're not terminally online on Twitter all day. So, so then it becomes a matter of, yeah, it's a less structured episode, but it's learning with the audience kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like that's kind of like the vibe we've built up. We're learning. We're not pretending to be experts. We're not like lecturing or like preaching at you. When we're talking about like our main subjects, we are learning with you, the audience.
I do too, because it's the joy of learning, just sharing what we've experienced, I guess.
Yeah, so thank you, dear listeners, for sticking with us through 2021. We're obviously not going anywhere for 2022, but we will be coming at you, obviously, with hopefully equally, if not more exciting content in the future as we continue to build our presence, not only on like podcast platforms, but our YouTube.
Oh yeah,
grind.
I've been making a lot of videos there, and I'm gonna continue to make those. So.
Yeah, and I'm involved in that process too now because I have like more time to devote to that. So yeah, it's been absolutely great. So because we're at the end of the episode, obviously we are obliged to shout out our Twitter. You like Twitter, right? You follow us on Twitter. You follow everything on Twitter. Of course you do. So why not follow us at Ministry Modus? Or if you're old-fashioned and want to shoot us an email, you can email us at martinandcornbread@gmail.com, all one word. And make sure to check us out on our YouTube as well, because we're pushing all our great content, and Martin's working very hard. So please do it for Martin. Otherwise, his nephew's gonna come and beat his ass again.
Yeah.
You didn't get 100 followers by the end of the year, Uncle Martin. I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Ah, no,
Brother.
Wait, I need to get in shape first, man.
I don't care. You had all that time to get in shape while doing your podcast. But
oh yeah, speaking of the last podcast too, that Lil Wayne rap was freaking hilarious. My Lil Wayne created rap.
Oh Jesus Christ! I was like, when I was editing the audio for that, I'm like, oh fuck, not this again. And I can just hear myself breaking down, and I'm like trying not to laugh as I'm editing the audio. It's like, oh god. So, Martin, do you have any rhymes that you want to close 2021 off with?
The only rhyme I have is go back to the last episode. That was hilarious. My Lil Wayne inspired codeine rap. Let's call it codeine rap.
Your Lil Wayne on Trazodone rap.
Trazodone, baby, I got a bone.
That's a rhyme. So, thank you once again for joining us this year. You will see us, well, actually, if you're on YouTube, you'll see us. But you will hear from us next year. And by next year, I mean, like, next week. So, make sure you take care. Celebrate the end of the new year responsibly. Be grateful for all those in your life who've made it to the end of 2021 alongside you. Because many did not.
Oh, yeah.
So, Happy New Year's, friends, and au revoir.